Hi everyone, welcome to day 5 of our devotion through the book of Acts. I hope this has been helpful for you and will continue to be helpful for you. We're in Acts chapter 5 today, which starts with a really interesting story. If you've ever read Acts 5, you can get hung up on this story. It's a story of a couple named Ananias and Sapphira, and they sell a piece of property and they bring the proceeds of the sale to the church. But they don't give all of the money that they sold the property for. They only give part of it, but they lie about how much they sold it for so that they could keep a little bit of it for themselves. And because of that, they end up dying. I mean, it's like this intense story, right? And so it starts in verse 1. But a man named Ananias, with his wife Sapphira, sold a piece of property. So anytime you see a transitionary word like but or therefore, you know that it actually goes with another section. When Luke wrote the book of Acts, he didn't use chapter numbers or verse numbers. It's a narrative, it flows together. But because we see this, but a man named Ananias, we know that it actually belongs at the end of chapter 4. So look at the end of chapter 4. And in my Bible, the section is called They Had Everything in Common. And as you read that section, what you're going to see is, for lack of a better phrase, you're going to see an organizational culture. And you're going to, like they were of one heart and one soul. No one said that any of the things that belonged to them were their own, but they had everything in common. There was not a needy person among them. People would sell property and bring the proceeds to the church. It was a culture. And those that lead organizations, you probably know this, that it can take years to build a healthy organizational culture, but it can take a minute to destroy that culture. One wrong hire, one bad decision, you can destroy culture really quickly. And this fledgling church, there's this culture. And Ananias and Sapphira, what they do has the potential of destroying that culture. Now, what do? Well, it's not that they didn't bring all the money that they sold the property for to the church. That's not the point, as you're going to see. Look at verse 4. Peter says to Ananias, while the property, remained unsold, did it not remain your own? Meaning, this is your property. You can do whatever you want with it. It's up to you, right? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? So Peter's saying, listen, this is your property. Do with it what you want. When you sold it, it's still your property. You could give whatever percentage you wanted to the church. Keep whatever percent you want for yourself. The point of this story is not that they didn't give enough or they didn't give all of it. Sometimes people think that that's what the story means, but that's not at all what it is. And then Peter goes on, why is it that you have contrived this deed in your heart? You have not lied to man, but to God. So there it is. See, I don't know about you, but have you ever been tempted to look better than you are? Okay, let me ask, when was the last time you were tempted to look better than you are? Especially when it comes to religious practices. There's something about religious practices that we want to exaggerate. I go to church more than I actually do, or I read the Bible more than I actually do, or I pray more than I actually do. We like to exaggerate that. And there's something here that God and Luke is trying to tell us about the culture of the early church, that what matters most is our hearts. What matters most is our motivation. It's not how much you give, because people were being so generous during this season of the early church. They were just giving so much. And Luke wants to make it clear to us that that's not the point. It's not how much you give, or if you give all of it or a percentage of what you make. That's not the point of the early church. The early church, the thing was, does God have your heart? Does God have your heart? And are you giving out of the generosity of the Spirit of God in you? Not to look good, not to look better than you actually are. So as you read through Acts chapter 5 today, would you ponder that and take a minute and ask yourself, what's my motivation for doing this study? What's my motivation for giving to my local church? What's my motivation for serving in my local church? What's my motivation for reading the Bible, for prayer, etc.? And let the Lord speak to your heart today. We'll see you guys soon.